Hi, my name is Lou Mannarino, and welcome to One Sound headquarters, where I'm excited to introduce you to our first monitor, which is called the CM38. It's a floor monitor that has three 8-inch loudspeakers in it. What makes this loudspeaker so exciting for me to have developed over a 40-year career of wanting very specific things out of a monitor, to have the research and development to bring this to market is incredibly exciting. So what about this speaker is unique or special? More importantly, what about this speaker is going to make you want to use it? And I think that's, and how is it going to level up your career and your game and your institution. So the monitor itself looks beautiful, in my opinion. It looks beautiful because it is very low to the ground. You know, working with the New York Philharmonic, there was always a big challenge for the artists. Both the artists for me were the Philharmonic and any visiting singer. What would happen when they would go live at Lincoln Center or we would do a Broadway show at the Philharmonic is they needed to see the girls' shoes. And big wedges in front of the stage on TV, as we all know, is a compromise. And so this monitor is as loud as a normal-sized wedge, which would come off the ground almost a foot and a half. So this comes off the ground 7 or 8 inches. And so now that's the first quality characteristic, is that it shows more of what people want to see and less about the technology in the shot. Secondly, the monitor or the challenge on any stage is the pollution a monitor brings to both the artists that are not in front of the speaker or the audience that's behind the speaker. So the criteria or objective we set out was to make it cardioid in a passive way, so it doesn't need an additional amp channel to be cardioid. It's a passive cardioid deployment which enables 6 dB of cardioid behavior out the back of the loudspeaker and the sides, but also linear down to its lowest frequency. Linear meaning that it's the same cancellation up to the lowest crossover point, which is between the most important range, which is 100 to 400 and 500 cycles per second. That is the reverberance that often off-axis sound that pollutes a stage environment. So that 6 dB less pollution is really quite significant. And again, take in mind that this is still a stage monitor. You can stand on it, jump on it, and it will perform at high SBL levels, over 130 dB. That's the two characteristics or the objectives that we set out. But the third one, I think, is the most significant. We created the delivery of the high frequency comes from a coaxial 8-inch driver and with a very high crossover point. And then the horn has even a higher crossover point because it's a 3-way box. So what happens is the horn that we developed in the coaxial 8 is a progressive horn, similarly to the way glasses would work, but actually in an opposite way. So when I look down in these glasses, progressive, I have less prescription or a wider field of vision in a sense. And then when I look out, I can see clearer further away. The horn does the exact same thing, but delivers it upside down. So when a person has a microphone and they're standing on top of the wedge, the high frequency delivery is wide. From the same element, when that person backs away from the wedge, the high frequency follows them. Because as they're going behind it or further away, the high frequency delivery comes to them narrower. By being narrower, it's enabling the same delivery of SPL to be tightened up to deliver further. So as you step to the off axis of the monitor, the cancellation with the way it sounds on the side is reasonably coherent. As you go back further, 10 feet, 15 feet even, the monitor sounds softer like it would normally sound out of a point source, but the high frequency stays with you and goes down similarly in 3 dB down per doubling of distance algorithm. So now you have to think about that for a second. So the response from the monitor engineers have been this. One response was, my console never sounded so good. That was an interesting quote. A second quote was, I didn't have to fight the stage volume throughout the evening. And what they said was, as the night went on, I didn't need to make the monitors louder and louder and louder. The reason for that is the pollution on stage is less, so the ear fatigue is less, and people weren't asking for more, because when you're listening to this monitor back by where a bass player might be, that they're still hearing the vocalist of this monitor softer, but they're not hearing the off-axis response. They're hearing it coherently. Works very well with in-ear monitors as well, because they're there to create an environment in an in-ear monitor situation or as an emergency. But how often do we know that the wedges in an in-ear monitor situation are often too loud? And then what happens is pollutes the environment too much. So it was my goal to design a loudspeaker that not only looked good, you could see the girl's shoes, needed to sound good everywhere. And I would say that the other most important factor too is being closer to the floor. We're using the side double eights to enhance the bass response by coupling more with the floor. So the lower we have the drivers to the floor, that's a more specific amount of frequencies that are enabling to be coupled to that boundary. So using what's here around us. All these characteristics, in my opinion, and I believe other monitor engineers' opinions, because we're getting feedback every day, this is significant in a change or a tool. It's very significant. You can recess them in the stage and don't have to go as deep because of the way the deployment is. You can be on top of them. You can be far away from them. You don't need to tilt it. That's really important because of the look. They come in all shades of colors. They come in all different types of fabrics. And there are people now ordering them in those colors to match their stage floors. I will say that coming out shortly is a baby brother to the CM38, which will be called the 35. It's based on a 555 idea with, there's actually 6 5s in the monitor. And that is, should be out in a few months from now. So thank you for listening to this description, or more importantly, the idea, the concept behind creating such a thing. And I need to say personally, 40 years of mixing, 40 years of having good nights, but having almost equally bad nights. And I think monitor engineers or engineers in general are going to know what I'm talking about. You know, everything we do is a compromise, and we do the best with what we have. You know, so if one sound can make a tool that makes your job better, that's what's important. And it's affordable. I think it's affordable. I hope so. Well, there's a lot of great speakers in the world, and there's a lot of great designers in the world. But this one is personal. It comes out of 40 years of both making mistakes and having successes in my career. So thank you again for listening, and over and out from One Sound HQ.